All right, welcome guys to the NBA live stream for 7 games slate today. First, let's go over what we know so far. We got the news that James Harden is in fact out, so Kyrie Irving obviously looks like a great spend up. Let's see, scrolling down a bit more, LaMarcus Aldridge is available to play. I don't think he plays much. I would say 15-ish minutes. He is 4K, so I guess you could take a dart in him, but I think there's probably better value on this one. Pistons guys, Ellington questionable, Magruder out, Hamidou Diallo out. There's a couple of Pistons guys that are viable here, but I really think this slate is setting up to where you want to look to more of the Pelicans guys, maybe more of the Clippers value. But I do think there's a couple Pistons guys that are viable. The big news, obviously, is Zion out, Lonzo out, Brandon Ingram doubtful. That is huge. Again, so that's why the Pelicans look really good here. We got Goran Dragic out, Kendrick Nunn questionable. If Nunn's out too, I'm curious to see who Miami starts at the point guard position. So keep an eye on that one. Maybe some value. But again, I think I like the Pelicans Clippers value better. Kevin Love will play. No interest in him. I think he's going to play about 10, 12 minutes like he did when he came back from injury a while ago. Michael Carter-Williams is out. Does that do much for me? Not really, because the Magic played 11 guys. They'll just go back to a 10-man rotation. Chason Randall will eat minutes, but he's not a good point for a guy. So, yeah, it doesn't really do a ton. Beal, Neto, still waiting on that. Jerome Robinson will start if Beal's out. And, all right, so we just got the Cavs starting line news. Yeah, so Love is starting at the 5, Dean Wade at the 4. Now, some of you might be worried about Hardenstein not starting. It doesn't worry me too much. It doesn't. I still think he's going to come off the bench. I still think he's going to play mid-20s minutes. I still think he's a really good value play. So, yeah, it doesn't worry me too much with Hardenstein not starting. But let's take a look at these Vegas odds, and we can go team by team. So, Philly and Cleveland, a 213.5 over under. 76ers, 9.5 point favorites. Wizards, Pistons, a 223 over under. The Wizards are 3.5 point favorites. Hornets and Nets a 222.5 over under. The Nets are 2.5 point favorites. Warriors and Heat a 217 over under. The Heat are 3.5 point favorites. Magic, Pelicans a 213.5 over under. The Pelicans are 4.5 point favorites. Hawks and Spurs is a 222 over under. The Spurs are 1.5 point favorites. Nuggets, Clippers, again, waiting on Marcus Morris news here too. Paul George already ruled out for this one. 219 over under. Nuggets are 2.5 point favorites, and that is what we got for this slate. So, let's start off with Philly and Cleveland. And the Philadelphia side, there's not much I like here, honestly. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, at their respective prices are not completely out of play. You got to ask yourself this question, though, right? Are you going to play Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris over Kyrie Irving with no Kevin Durant and no James Harden against Charlotte? And are you going to play either of those Philly guys over Russell Westbrook if Brad Beal's out? My answer is pretty clear to that question, right? And it's absolutely not. So they're not completely out of play. Something weird could happen to either Kyrie or Westbrook, foul trouble, blowout. But again, I just have a hard time getting away from those two guys, which just makes these Philly guys secondary options. Dwight Howard, I could see using him as a contrarian option. Ejection, blowout. He's actually been a pretty solid point per minute guy. Now, I do think there's probably guys in the mid-range that look a little bit better. Maybe the Pelicans and maybe some of those Clippers guys. But Dwight, I think, is at least in play at that price if you want to get a little bit different. No thank you on Green, Curry, or Milton. No thank you on Mike Scott. Again, there's better value on the slate in my opinion. Now, moving on to Cleveland. So, again, no interest in Kevin Love. Dean Wade starting the 4, but I don't love the price there. Garland and Sexton, you can go to those guys in tournaments. Again, though, mention the guards I really want to look to. And then Isaiah Hartenstein. He's the guy I like the best here at 3.7. Even coming out the bench, I still think he plays 20, 25-ish minutes. He's a good point per minute guy. Not a must play, but I still do think he's a pretty good value play because of the fact that, again, he can stuff the stat sheet. He's a good point per minute guy. So, yeah, fire up some Isaiah Hartenstein still. Not super worried about it. And that's really it. Osman was not in the rotation last game. There's absolutely no way I'm playing any of these like Broderick Thomas, Lamar Stevens. No, that's just lighting money on fire if you do that. All right, so let's see. Do we have any more news here? Malik Monk, now a game time decision. I think he's going to play because he was probable earlier in the day. All right, let's see. Where are we at here, guys? 200 viewers, 28 likes for MLB opening day. Not bad. Not bad. If you guys could hit that like button, it does help me out a lot. Again, I'll be on for another 25 minutes here. At the end, I'll answer some questions. So would appreciate if you guys could hit that like button if you do enjoy. All right, Washington, Detroit. So we're still waiting on Brad Beal news. I will say, if Brad Beal plays, I have no interest in the Washington value. No interest. It would just be the top 2 guards for Washington. If Brad Beal misses, then obviously it's clear Westbrook spend up, and then a couple viable value guys. The 2 viable value guys I'll look to, assuming Neto is out too, would be Jerome Robinson and Denny Advija. I always mispronounce it. I can never pronounce Denny's name. I'm just going to call him Denny. But yeah, Jerome Robinson played 36 minutes last game with no Neto, with no Beal. Not a great point per minute guy, but if we're going to get 35 minutes out of Jerome Robinson, then again, firmly in play for value. And then again, Denny was a chalk bust. I mean, he didn't completely bust, but shot 1 of 10. I think he's viable too because he's going to get shots up. Hopefully he doesn't shoot 10% again. So those are the 2 value guys to look to if Brad Beal is in. Again, if Brad Beal is out. If Brad Beal's in, I have no interest in the Washington value. And then Brad Beal himself, assuming there's no limitations if he plays, would actually be a pretty decent play. It would be a close call with him and Westbrook. Still might lean Westbrook, even though he's $2,000 more expensive, just because, again, Westbrook just seems to be on another level right now. So that's what I got for Washington. We don't have to consider guys like Hutchinson. I mean, the center rotation, sure, you can take a dart in either Len or Lopez. I guess they're not completely out of play. I just probably prefer Hartenstein if I'm going to punt center. Moving on to Detroit. So Jeremy Grant, if you want to get a little bit different in tournament, I think is fine. It is a good matchup. Again, he's been a little bit score independent. I think optimal spend ups, Westbrook, Kyrie, Kawhi. So I just have a hard time getting to Jeremy Grant. Not saying he's completely out of play, but I just don't think it's an optimal build if you get to him. Plumlee, no. Sadiq Bey, Josh Jackson. I know there's no Hamidou Diallo. Maybe Josh Jackson plays a little bit more, but yeah, one of those guys, the mid-range, will get there. I don't think we have to take a shot. Are we still waiting on Dennis Smith Jr.? Still waiting on him and Wayne Ellington. If they're both in, then I'm really off the value. If they're both out, then I think you can make the argument for a guy like Corey Joseph, who's off the bench, has played 29, 24, and 28 minutes. Been pretty solid, again, up-tempo game. So Kojo would be the value I'd probably look to if both those Pistons guards are out. All right, let's see. We got 5 games left. Let's refresh again, see if we got any more updates here. Neto available. Okay, so Neto being available. Downgrade Jerome Robinson a bit. I don't think he plays 35 minutes. We don't have Brad Beal news yet, so we should get that any minute if we just got the Neto news. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Moving on to Charlotte and Brooklyn. Charlotte, no cash game plays here. No optimal plays. Again, mention the optimal spend ups you want to go to. So Rozier, Hayward, Devontae Graham are still in play, though. And you can game stack this one. You can go Kyrie. You can run it back with a couple Charlotte guys. I think that's firmly in play. Is it an optimal build, though? No. But I do kind of like it for GPPs. Rozier, Hayward, Graham, with the fact that, again, if Beal's out, Westbrook's going to be chalk. Kawhi Leonard's going to be popular. And Kyrie's going to be really popular. So these guys are just going to be lower owned for that reason. But, hey, again, for tournaments, Rozier, Hayward, they're going to play 35-plus minutes. Devontae Graham probably hovers around 30 in a good matchup. Those 3 are all decent tournament plays. No way on PJ Washington. No way in Bridges. Even if Monk is out, I don't have a ton of interest here. So it's really the main 3 guys there for Charlotte, and I do like them for tournaments. On the Brooklyn sides, yeah, I don't see how you get away from Kyrie as an optimal play. Now, could you fade him in tournaments? Yeah, you can make the argument. There's other spend-ups you can go to, right? You can go to Westbrook. You can go to Kawhi. Maybe you take a shot on Jokic to get different. But clear spend up if you're building an optimal lineup, that being Kyrie Irving. Again, don't really have to talk much about it. With no Harden, no Kevin Durant. A clear play, in my opinion. Value, right? It's just kind of like, yeah, you can play Aldridge. I think he plays about 15-ish minutes, 15, 20 maybe. Viable play. Claxton, I think, hovers around 20 to 25 minutes. Also, I think, in play. But, I just think there's better value on the slate. I would rather play other value. So, again, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, sure, you're fringe playable, I guess. But I'm not really looking to it. I'm not. Let's move on to Golden State and Miami. I'll make this really quick for Golden State. Pretty much no interest. I mean, sure, you can take a dart in Steph Curry and hope he has a really good shooting game. But you got to ask yourself, are you going to play Steph Curry over Kyrie? Are you going to play him over Westbrook? Are you going to play him over Kawhi? Right? It's just, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. On the Miami side, maybe, right? So none out, Dragic, or none questionable, Dragic out. I'm curious to see if none is out too, who they start at point guard. Maybe they start Oladipo. I don't have interest in Oladipo. Don't have a ton of interest in Bam. Jimmy, if you want to get a little bit contrarian, sure. Either way, though, even if none is out too, I don't know if there's much here. Unless maybe they start Gabe Vincent at point guard, but he's not like a great point per minute guy. So, and I still think I would rather have other value. So, yeah, this game in general, not much here. All right, so we got, 3 games left. Let's see, do we have any more news? Malik Monk available to play. Okay. Orlando and New Orleans. I'll make this pretty quick for Orlando. Michael Carter-Williams out. Doesn't do much. Doesn't do much for me. Chaseon Randall, maybe RJ Hampton will split the point guard duties. I would rather play RJ. Now, if RJ Hampton starts, then I think you could make the argument for him for value, because I think he would play at least mid-20s minutes. So if RJ Hampton starts, I think he would be a good value. But if they start Chaseon Randall, I'm just, ugh. I've tried with him a couple times. He's just so bad. And then again, they're going to run a 10. They ran 11-man rotation last game. They're going to run a 10-man rotation. So everyone kind of splitting minutes. I mean, there's really not much here. Terrence Ross only played, 26 minutes. I'm not paying 7.1K for Ross in 26 minutes. So, not much here on the Magic side. On the Pelican side, way different. So, again, I've been down a lot of teams. I'm like, hey, you don't have to go there. You don't have to go there because there's better value. Well, the value is with the Pelicans. That's one of the teams you're going to want to load up on tonight. So, no Zion, most likely no Ingram, no Lonzo Ball. NAW, Josh Hart, Eric Bledsoe, 3 of the best plays this slate, and it's not even close. Absolutely love all 3. These 3 will be the top 3 guys in offense. NAW, great point per minute guy. The 3 of the highest usage guys out of the offense, love him. Love Josh Hart. He's probably going to go for like 20 rebounds in this game. Done a great rebounding guard, wing. And again, they're missing Zion, missing Ingram. So love Josh Hart. And I love Eric Bledsoe. I don't care that Eric Bledsoe's been bad. Doesn't matter at all. If people are going to fade Eric Bledsoe in this spot without the top 3 guys, I think you're making a mistake. So love Bledsoe, love NAW, love Josh Hart. Does Steven Adams' role change really? Maybe a little bit. I think it does make him a little bit more viable, but he'd still not as much as those other 3 guys I mentioned. And I want to see who else they start. So I'm guessing the starting lineup is going to be NAW, Hart, Bledsoe, Adams, and then one of maybe Kira Lewis or James Johnson is who I'm guessing. They could go a little bit small, throw Kira Lewis in there, probably Josh Hart at the 4, and then a 3-guard lineup. Or they throw James Johnson in there at min price. Now, James Johnson hasn't played yet for this team, but we know he's a good point per minute guy. The Pelicans are missing size, right? They don't have a lot of size right now with no Zion and no Ingram. They don't have a lot of other wings. Wes Nwundo. Oh my God, I will never, ever play Wes Nwundo. I don't care if he starts. I'm not playing Wes Nwundo. The guy that I'm interested in, if he starts, is James Johnson, because James Johnson is actually a good point per minute guy. A guy can stuff a stat sheet. So if he does start, really like James Johnson. Again, if they start Kira Lewis, I like him a ton at 3.7. I would rather, if Kira Lewis starts, I would rather have him than any of the other guys just because he's cheap. And he's, again, a good offensive player, a good point per minute guy. Even if Kira Lewis comes to the bench, I think he's a viable tournament play. That should probably play mid-20s minutes. So, yeah, Pelicans are a team you're going to want to load up on. Jackson Hayes, does his role change much? Not really. Probably play 15-ish minutes off the bench. Don't have a ton of interest in him. No thank you in Hernan Gomez. I don't even know if he plays. I mean, I guess I could do a 2-center lineup, but one of the guys I like. Again, NAW, Hart, Bledsoe, probably the 3 safest. And then keep an eye on whoever they start. Do they move James Johnson in? Do they move Kira Lewis in? If one of those 2 guys move in, love them for value. If they start with Wes Nwundo, I'm not going there. So just keep an eye on that one. All right, what do we have? 2 games left. Got about 15 minutes, so I'll try to go a little bit quicker here. Still waiting on some news here with Beal. Atlanta and San Antonio, so it's the top 2 guys. Trey, Capella, both going to go overlooked. Both contrarian plays, in my opinion, because of the other spin-ups we went over. But hey, Trey Young, he's playing massive minutes in close games. I think he's a good contrarian play. Clint Capella, with no John Collins, is going to go overlooked, but he's going to play big minutes and is a really good point per minute guy. So the top 2 guys for Atlanta I like for tournaments. Keep an eye on DeAndre Hunter. If he plays, if him and Lou Williams play, then I'm off everyone else in Atlanta. If they're both out, then I think you could take a shot on Bogdanovich in the mid-range, who actually played 37 minutes last game, had a really good shooting game. So he would be viable if both those guys are out. But yeah, I'm not going to the likes of Tony Snell or Solomon Hill. No. Nope. Don't have to go there. I'm moving on to San Antonio. So Like Charlotte, there are no priorities here for San Antonio, but I do kind of like these guys who can contrarian plays. DeRozan, Murray, White, Pirtle, all firmly in play. Up-tempo game. Pirtle, been very safe. Should play about 30 minutes. 38, 40, 36 fantasy points last 3 games. He's under 6K. I think he's a safer option. White, Murray, DeRozan, of these 3, I think DeRozan is the safest. I think we get mid-30s minutes from him. I think he goes overlooked. DeJounte Murray, again, don't mind him in tournaments. He's got 50-plus fantasy point upside. If you want to take a shot on White, you can go there. So the top 4 guys for San Antonio are all in play. No priorities for me, though. If you want to differentiate yourself on a chalky slate, you can go here. Right? Maybe you play 1 star and like a couple mid-range guys to differentiate yourself. Like maybe like 1 Charlotte guy or 1 San Antonio guy. Right? That will for sure make you different. It's not an optimal build. It's suboptimal, but that doesn't mean you can't win big money doing that to differentiate yourself for ownership. No thank you on Keldon Johnson. Again, guys like Gay and Mills I mentioned as possible value, if not a lot of value opened up throughout the slate. But now with the Pelicans, with the Clippers, it's just no thank you there. Yeah, so Gordy Jang is out. Drew Eubanks will probably play the backup 5. He'll probably play about 15 to 18 minutes. He's been pretty solid with 17, 18, 13 fantasy points the last 3 games. If you need someone at min price, I guess you can go there. But again, I think I prefer the other value. And final game here, Denver and the Clippers. On the Denver side, there's not much, actually. It's Jokic as a contrarian spend up, and that's it. Murray, MPJ, both had really good shooting games last game. That's just because Philadelphia doubled and tripled Jokic every single time. I'm not sure the Clippers do that. So, like, Murray, MPJ, no thanks. No thank you, and Aaron Gordon. There's just nothing on Denver besides Jokic as a contrarian spend up. Now, the Clippers side is a little bit different. Keep an eye on Marcus Morris. Either way, I will say Kawhi Leonard is one of the best spend ups. It's him, it's Westbrook, it's Kyrie. All look great. So, and you could play all 3 of those guys if you want to. If you do that, though, then you can't get to like some of the mid-range Pelicans guys. So maybe I think the optimal build is probably pick 2 of those 3 and then go from there. But yeah, love Kawhi Leonard here. I think it's a safe play with upside. Yeah, not a lot of downside to say about Kawhi. Now, if Marcus Morris plays, then I'm not as high on the rest of the Clippers value. Like if Marcus Morris plays completely off Batum, not really on him anyways, but it would completely cross off Batum. Would downgrade guys like Reggie, downgrade guys like Terrence Mann. I think Kennard would still be in play because when Marcus Morris played, he still played 32 minutes. A little reliant on the scoring, but I think Kennard would still be viable either way. But if Marcus Morris is out, then guys like Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann become really good plays. Reggie, we've seen it this season. When one of the main Clippers guys are out or they're a little bit shorthanded, he's had some big games. So I'm intrigued by Reggie. I think he might go overlooked. I think the safer way to go would be play those Pelicans guards because that for sure we know are going to play big minutes. But don't overlook Reggie. Don't overlook Terrence Mann off the bench who's been pretty solid. Those guys get a pretty big boost if Marcus Morris is in fact out. Now, Marcus Morris himself, if he does play, as long as there's no minutes limit, I think we get mid-30s minutes. I think he'd be a pretty decent play at that price. So that's what I got, guys, for the team-by-team breakdown. Let's refresh one more time, and we can get to some questions here. 10 minutes until I'm going to hop out of here. Still no Beal news unless I completely missed it. Nope. All right, so questions, throw them in here. Yeah, four Pelicans too much. I think that's fine. I think you can play 4. 6 Pelicans? I wouldn't play 6. I think you could play 5. I think you could play 5 if you want to. I don't know if I'd play 6. Much love in England. Even though Hartenstein isn't starting, yes. Yeah, I still have interest in Isaiah Hartenstein. Kevin Love's not going to play much, right? We saw in his first game back, he played like 10 minutes. I'm expecting around that. So Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench, I still like. Beal's out. Okay, so yeah, chat going crazy here. Beal's out. All right, so with Beal out, Westbrook is one of the best spend ups for sure. Now Neto is playing. So let me circle back there. Does Neto playing do a ton? Not really. Like Neto himself would actually be an interesting contrarian value play now that he got ruled in like close to lock. I don't think a lot of people get to him. I think we get somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes. He's actually been an okay point per minute guy. So if you want to get really different, you can take a shot on Neto. I do think it's a slight downgrade to the other 2 value guys I mentioned. So like Jerome Robinson and Denny, I think they lose a little bit of minutes. So like Jerome Robinson maybe goes from 36 to like 28, 29 minutes. Not out of play, but a slight downgrade I would think. And then Denny maybe goes from like 32 minutes to like 28. Not completely out of play. So again, I'm not saying Denny and Jerome Robinson are out of play. I would say a slight downgrade. A slight downgrade of Neto playing. And if you want to take a dart in Neto, he'll be low owned. Probably play 15 to 20 minutes. You can do it. So yeah, solidifies Westbrook, obviously. As I've said, the last 3 slates with Beal out, if you fade Russell Westbrook, you are a bold man. Now, crazy things can happen. We haven't seen it yet, but like a blowout could happen. Maybe random foul trouble. Something crazy could happen. There's no way if you're building optimal lineup, though, you leave out Russell Westbrook tonight. No way. All right. Westbrook, Kyrie, Hart. Yeah, love all 3. Hayward, Capella, or Rozier. It's a tough one. I like all 3 as contrarian plays. None of those guys are optimal plays for sure. It's tough because Hayward's been very up and down. Rozier's actually been a little bit safer. I do like the upside a lot, though, in Capella with no John Collins. It's almost a coin flip for those 3 guys. Give me Capella because I think he does get a pretty significant boost in no John Collins. 3,800 for power forward. It's probably James Johnson for me, assuming he starts. Because I'm not playing JaMychal Green. I'm not playing Mike Scott. I'm not playing Iguodala. Really, the only guy here is Johnson. And again, if James Johnson starts, I think he's a really good value. So keep it on. If James Johnson doesn't start, then I'm a little bit worried. Then maybe I go elsewhere. Like, he wouldn't be out of play, but he would be a little bit riskier if he doesn't start. If he starts, love him. So that's where I would go. Joe Harris, no. So Joe Harris, whenever, like, I always get asked about Joe Harris. Whenever, like, Brooklyn's missing a couple pieces, his role doesn't change. Like, he's still a spot 3-point shooter. He's not a guy that's going to get, like, a big usage bump and start, like, pick and rolls and like taking it to the bucket. No, he's still just going to shoot 3s. So like, no, I don't have interest in Joe Harris. 5,600 for forward. Let's see. So I don't have a ton of interest in the Magic guys. No thank you in Joe Harris. I think my answer is Bogdan Bogdanović if both Hunter and Lou Williams are out. If Hunter and Lou Williams are both in, then I would say probably go to Marcus Morris if he plays. If not, then you can settle on Batum. So that would probably be my strategy. Bogdan, if both those Hawks guys I mentioned are out, if one or both are in, then I think you play Marcus Morris. And if Marcus Morris gets ruled out, you just go down to Batum, who's going to play big minutes. Not a super high usage guy, but like he'll play 35 minutes. He's probably not going to kill you. He's probably not going to like win you. Like, he's not going to go crazy, but I think he'll be a safer option. So that would be my strategy there. Jerome Robinson or Jackson Hayes? Jerome Robinson. I don't think Jackson Hayes is really playable. Hartenstein thoughts now? Yeah, I still like Hartenstein. I still think he plays mid-20s minutes on the bench. I still like him. James Johnson starts for Zion. I'm guessing he does. Don't know that for sure. Don't need Wizards value. I don't think you do either. I don't think it's a must. I still think a couple guys are in play, but I agree with you. I don't think we need them. Yeah, Hartenstein or Lopez is Hartenstein. Kira Lewis or Jerome Robinson? Give me Kira Lewis. Denny or Kennard? Kennard. Bruce Brown or Kennard? Kennard. How do you feel about Russ, Kyrie, Hart, Denny, Hartenstein, NAW, Kennard, Bledsoe? I think it's a good build. Again, Denny's the one guy that's like, I don't love it, but he'll probably play 28 to 30 minutes. He's just got to hit his shots. Kawhi or Irving? I mean, upside-wise, I think Kyrie has a little bit more upside, or at least we've seen it more lately. Ingram, I don't think Ingram plays. Was there something new about Ingram? Kendrick Nunn on track to play. Remains doubtful. 95% chance he doesn't play. Yeah, so as we expected, don't think Ingram plays. Kendrick Nunn on track to play. I think he starts. How many minutes he plays? I don't know if we have to go there with Nunn. So, yeah, not much on Miami. 6,600 for Grant on FanDuel seems cheap. A little. I will say, though, just be careful, right? Because he's been really scoring dependent recently. Sexton, I just don't think we have to go there. I don't think we have to go there in the slate. Who do we play for New Orleans? Depends on the starting lineup. But, the top 3 guys right now are probably NAW, Bledsoe, and Josh Hart. And I'm curious to see if, like, Kira Lewis or James Johnson move into the starting lineup. Either way, though, I think both those guys are in play. Do you like Cody Zeller at center? Not for me. Leonard, Jeff Green? Ooh, I don't think I would play either. I don't think I would play either on the slate. Brandon, yep. Dean Wade, nope. Any love for Rui? You can get to Rui at 7K, but it leaves you in a tricky spot. Like if you play 2 stars plus Rui, then let's just see, right? So if we play Westbrook and Kyrie with Rui, what does that leave us with remaining? Right? Like 4.4. You might be able to make that work, but like again, you might not be able to get to like a ton of the Pelicans guys. I'm not saying Rui's out of play, but I don't think he's optimal on this slate. 5,600 for forward. All right, guys, we got a few more minutes, so 5,600 and forward. Yeah, so same thing, right? It's Bogdan if both those Hawks guys are out. If not, you go to Marcus Morris, and if Marcus Morris is out, you just settle for Batum. Dean Wade, nope. Best value on the slate, Pelicans. Pelicans right now, Westbrook and Kyrie, or Westbrook and Jokic. Westbrook and Kyrie. Mid-range power forward. I don't like. I would say probably Rui. Probably Rui at 6'8", but I don't think he's an optimal build. You can go to Hayward or Jeremy Grant for tournaments, but yeah, there's no real like mid-range power forwards. I'm like, oh, I need to play. And then you can go to the Clippers guys. Right? The Clippers guys I think are decent. If Marcus Morris plays and there's no limits, I like him. If he misses, you just go to Batum. So that's probably where I look. None in yet, doesn't do much. Yeah, Jerome Robinson there. Hart, NAW, or Bledsoe. With there being a lot of good spend ups at the guard position, I guess it's Hart because he's the one that's forward eligibility, but I love all three. Power forward and under 5K. Yes, I would rearrange. Something. I don't like this. No, I would say Batum. Is it under 5K or 5K and under? If it's 5K and under, Batum. If not, like I'm not playing Ennis, I'm not playing Millsap, I'm not playing Dean Wade, I'm not playing Jeff Green, I'm not playing Ariza, I'm not playing any of these guys. You can go to Denny, but you're leaving $1,000 on the table. I would probably rearrange. Zeller, Hartenstein. Yep, Hartenstein for me. Yep, I still think Hartenstein plays mid-20s minutes. Claxton, I think you could use Claxton to get different. Claxton has been solid for them. Like I think he probably I think he goes overlooked in the slate. I think he's actually kind of a good sneaky value. He probably gets mid-20s minutes, I would say, off the bench. So yeah, I'm intrigued by Claxton. I think he's a sneaky value play in the slate. Malik Monk, nope. Lewis or Hartenstein, I like them both a lot. Keep an eye on it. If Kira Lewis starts, I prefer him to Hartenstein, but right now they're both good values. Thoughts on power forward? Yeah, power forward's a little bit tricky. Again, you got Rui, you got those Clippers guys. Can I play 3 Pelicans of cash? Of course. Aldridge, if he starts sneaky, I don't think he's going to play a ton, so he's not completely out of play, but like he doesn't have upside to play more. So like I think he plays 15 minutes. He could get it done that time. For me, though, I would actually rather take the shot on Claxton, who has more minutes upside. Bam or Tobias? Tobias, I don't love either, though. Yep, it's still Hartenstein over Cody Zeller. Gallinari, not really, unless both of Hunter and Lou Williams are out, then he becomes a little bit more viable. But I'm not really looking to Gallo. Len or Stewart, not really looking to either, to be honest. Stewart, I would say, is safer, I think. Len, we know, is very up and down. 3.5K in utility. It's going to be James Johnson for me, assuming he starts. Now, again, if James Johnson doesn't start, then you might have to reconsider, because then I think he's risky. But, yeah, that's probably where I'm looking. RJ, too. RJ is viable if he starts. If RJ Hampton starts, he would probably be the one Magic guy I would consider. So, yeah, those two, I guess. All right, guys, last question here, then I'm going to call it. I'll answer two. So, Gallinari or Josh Jackson? Josh Jackson's minutes have been trending down, but Diallo is out. It's a tough one. I think it would be Gallinari if we knew that Hunter and Lou Williams are out again, because I think Gallinari probably pushes for closer to the 30-minute mark, which would make him in play. So I think it would be Gallinari, but will we get that news in time? I'm not sure. Yeah, Terrence Ross, no thanks. Last one for sure. 5,500 for power forward. Again, I think it's that same thing. So 5,500. I think it's be Marcus Morris. Yeah, so Marcus Morris, and then if Marcus Morris is out, you just go to Batum. That's what I would do. Again, Gallinari would be viable if both keep an eye on DeAndre Hunter and Lou Williams. If they're both out, I think there's a chance Gallinari pushes for close to 30, which would make him in play. But that's going to do it, guys. Good luck to everyone. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you back here to close out the week on Friday. So, yeah, I'll see you guys then.